Hey everybody, this is George Brasher with Shakedown of Thunder Sports, and you're about to watch the two Irish brothers. Go Irish.
But Waters finds a hole, one man to beat, he's gone. Ricky Waters makes like Tim Brown on his first punt return. There are no penalties.
How's it going, everyone? I am Sean Moerity.
I'm Benjamin Walters.
And this is my real hair. I'll explain that in a second, then. But welcome, everybody, to the Two Irish Brothers show. I know probably a little rusty, but give me a break. Anyway, before we go any further, you guys know the drill after all these years. Hit the subscribe tab in the bottom right-hand corner, and then like or dislike the video for algorithm purposes. And, of course, hit that bell icon so you always know when Ben and I upload new content on this channel or go live. Now, I also want to say, Ben, it's great to see you again. It's been a while.
It has been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Aside from a few shorts and one live show, I haven't really seen the whole audience since, pretty much since the end of the playoffs.
Yep. It's been a minute, but we're back again, and we got an interesting little thing to talk about in this video because it is starting to become that time of year.
Yep, the Fighting Irish are a couple practices into the spring, and of course the one thing that is on everybody's mind in Notre Dame Nation right now is the quarterback battle. Now, I'm sure there's videos out there where people have just been talking about it to death, and naturally so. But it should be one of those things that it should be something that everybody. Well, replacing that like Riley Leonard is not going to be.
Yep. And, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top with this quarterback battle. But you can go either way. Like, you can say, like, it's CJ Carr's blues, or you can say it's Ian Jelly's blues.
Yeah.
So, top to bottom, in my opinion, CJ Carr is the more talented quarterback. But when it comes to knowing everything, Ian Jelly's your guy. So, it is very interesting to see what's going to happen with all of us.
This might be this is probably an inappropriate term to describe him, but Kenny Minchie, he's kind of a wild card right now. He's been with the program a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could he step up and take the starting role? Absolutely.
Yes, he could.
Absolutely. We're not just saying this is a 2-man race here. This is a 3-man race.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, potentially. But my prediction, and we're going to talk about Minchie, don't get me wrong here, but this really is between CJ Carr and Stephen Jelly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the way I see things is I agree with you. Stephen Jelly has been around the block here with us. He knows the playbook. He's now become that veteran guy. And, CJ's only been with us a year. So there's a lot of things he still has to learn, I'm sure. But here's where I think the biggest advantage lies right now. How much is here? And Jelly is healthy. CJ Carr is an arm injury or an elbow injury. Yeah, I think that kind of hurts. But it sounds like he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Coach Freeman's not letting
it's interesting when injuries become a thing because that obviously, throws a wrench into everything.
Yeah.
But injuries don't always show, quote unquote, who's the better. Because look at Riley Leonard. He was hurt for most of camp. and then still gets the starting job. So, there's that. So I don't know, and I don't know who to hope for, to be truly honest with you, because on one side of the coin, I really want it to be CJ Carr because everything has been set up for CJ Carr. Like, this is his team. This is Freeman's guy in Carr. And then it gives him just that much more time. And I feel like Notre Dame is one of those very few universities that will never start an underclassman. And I don't understand why, but it just seems like that's how Notre Dame rolls. So there's that, but then there's also the loyalty factor, in my opinion, which can cloud judgment.
Yeah.
In Jelly, because I was high on Angeli when we recruited him. Like, when we were actively recruiting him and he was getting ready to sign his letter of intent, I was very high on him. I'm still very high on him. Now, sometimes I go, well, maybe that's because I'm from New Jersey and Bergeron Catholic is a huge football hotbed in the state. So maybe there's a little bit of a bias there. But I feel like you can't go wrong with Angeli either.
No, I agree with that. I agree. But here's the thing, though, when you talk about Notre Dame not starting underclassmen, are you just talking with the quarterback spot or everywhere?
Quarterback in particular. I mean, because we've started freshmen and sophomores at other positions, but for whatever reason, we haven't seen who was the last freshman quarterback we started. I can't even remember.
Jimmy Clausen.
That's been a long time then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because let's see, 2010 Dane Crisp, but he was an upperclassman. I don't think we've started a freshman because even though Ian Book was a 3-year starter for us, he was a starter as a sophomore,
right,
and not a freshman. But I'm pretty sure that the last true freshman to start at quarterback for us was Jimmy Clausen, because I remember it was the 2007 season, and they were originally going to go with Demetrius Jones, but then something happened with him where he left after a few games. Then they tried out Evan Sharpley. Sharpley looked like he had some potential, but then that's where Weiss just decided to throw Clausen to the dogs and get him ready. Yeah. Which 2007, that was a disaster of a season anyway, so it didn't matter. But the only other time that I can remember the possibility of them starting a freshman at quarterback was 1993 when Ron Paulus got there. Because Lou Holtz was going to go with Paulus, but Paulus ended up getting hurt, and then they ended up going with Kevin McDougal instead, which still turned out to be a pretty nice thing. Right. Historically, not like
yeah. So I don't know. I just don't know, man. It's all, and I'm glad I'm not Freeman, because this would be a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
So,
and especially in this day and age, you don't want to lose anybody, because now you have the transfer portal to worry about, and will a kid really listen when he says, listen, I'm going to give the job to this guy this year. You're going to start next year. And let's face it, a lot of kids are impatient these days. They want to play now, which I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying you run that risk.
Right.
Yep. But with all the quarterbacks that we have competing for the job, and that Herbert kid, I'm not trying to leave him out, but he's not in the hunt. He's not in the race.
Right.
But let's just look at what you have in these guys. Now, in my opinion, with Angeli, he's got the experience. He's got one heck of an arm that sadly Riley Leonard did not have.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. My brother and I were talking about this, and this is just we need a quarterback that has a home run threat. And if you go with Angeli, you're definitely getting that for sure. And to give credit, this kind of goes back to knowing the playbook and stuff. In the Orange Bowl against Penn State, if he doesn't lead us on that drive before half to get that field goal, who knows what happens in that game?
Yeah.
So this kid knows what he's doing. He has the intangibles to get it done. The only problem I see with Angeli is he doesn't have a lot of mobility in the pocket.
Right.
And, we obviously saw that happen with a lot of guys. Well, that just concerns me.
Yeah.
And honestly, CJ Carr, I mean, you don't want to strictly just go off a high school film, especially for at this level. But he only saw playing time in one game, and that was against Purdue, and it was nothing but handoffs. There really was no passing out of him. But from what it sounds like, from what you have seen, like practice clips and things like that, he's a good balance of being able to run and passing. Great deep ball. But of course, the obvious is there. He is going to be a first-time starting quarterback if he does win the job. Now, Kenny Minchie, he is, from what I have seen of him, or what we all have seen out of him, he's definitely a scrambling quarterback. Not bad on the passing, but I just don't know if there's enough balance there with him to be the starting quarterback.
Right. No, I don't think so. I don't. I mean, not at Notre Dame, unfortunately, and not if we want to win a national title. Because, I mean, I feel like, not to sound arrogant, but I feel like we're right there. We showed that we're right there, and I feel like the quarterback position, is that spot that, like, if we can just find the guy, because we've come very close with a few, but
Yep.
if we can just find one guy that is the man, I feel like when we can do it, and we just have to, and like that's where the faith in Freeman comes into play. But yeah, I don't know, I just don't know.
Well, and also, you mentioned this earlier in the show or in the episode about that loyalty factor. I don't think Freeman's going that route. I think him and his coaching staff, they're going to make a fair decision here and go with whoever performs.
Yeah.
Like if CJ Carr plays better than Angeli in practice and on into fall practice, they're going to go with him.
Yeah.
And we can talk all day about the advantages that one guy has over the other, which is fair. They do play a huge factor, of course, but obviously in the last year or so, Freeman has made some much better decisions.
Yes.
And he's gotten so much better as a coach. I mean, we had the early debacle in the season last year. They could have just folded after that. They didn't. So that says a lot about the head coach that you have.
Yeah. I agree.
Now he comes back. And so, yeah, overall, him and his staff have been a good judgment of talent. And I guess all I can say is may the best man win.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, and I feel like right now it's one of those where you don't really have a winner and a loser, if that makes sense. Like,
no,
if CJ Carr gets it, we're not losing anything. And if Angeli gets it, you're not losing anything either. Like, so I feel like there's no bad situation here. Now, if both of them get hurt and then you got Kenny Minchie coming in, then yeah, maybe, then I think we're in trouble. But both of them, no. I mean, you give them the keys to the kingdom and I think you'll be okay. So, it's just more about how everybody else can rally around them. Can everybody else stay healthy? Can we, make a deep run? Not have slip-ups like we did last season. I feel like we were very blessed and lucky to have that slip up then and then just go on the tear that we went on. I don't know if you can have that this year. I don't know if 2 years in a row where you can have that. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'll just say this. then after that, it's a slew of like I know Arkansas is there, Boise State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I don't have it up in front of me right now, but I know it's a lot tougher than last year's schedule for sure.
It's a tougher schedule per se, but the big games are almost all in South Bend. That's the only saving, like that's the big saving grace.
I'm not used to that.
The real big one, that we do have to worry about that's not in South Bend is obviously the start of the beginning of the season with Miami in Miami. Because we remember last time we were in Miami against the Hurricanes. But the rest of them are home. Boise State's home, Southern Cal's home. I do believe Arkansas is home. So that's a blessing. That's an absolute blessing. Like I'll take that all day.
I think
There'll
Arkansas
still be hard games. Like I'm not going to say they're going to be easy. They're still going to be hard games, but it'll be nice to actually have the crowd on your side as opposed to going into a hostile environment.
Yes,
and
actually,
A&M is a home game too.
Yes,
I forgot to say that because we did a home and home with them, and we were on the road last year.
Yes,
so there's that. And I feel like that'll be a tough one too. I mean, A&M is going to want revenge, and we won't get too far into that because that video will be coming sooner rather than later. But these games will be tough, and we've seen it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're NIU, it doesn't matter if you're Alabama. Like you come to South Bend, you want to beat Notre Dame. That's just plain and simple. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I'm getting more and more excited, and thankfully we have spring football upon us, and thankfully baseball's getting ready to start. Although I don't really have much hope for my team, but that's beside the point.
For me, I'm a huge Cubs fan. They didn't do fare so well in Japan against the Dodgers, but it's the freaking Dodgers. They've got like $2 billion on their team,
right?
So I don't know, but no, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Got the tournament going on, and yeah, Battlehawk football next week, next Friday night. Can't wait.
Yep.
But one last thought on the quarterbacks. Really, what it's going to boil down to is we just got to see, aside from Angeli and the little bit we've seen of Minchie, we got to see more of CJ Carr to really know what he has. And this spring game will be his big chance to really show what he truly has. So, and I know I always say this about the spring game. It's don't read too much into it. You're playing yourselves here, but again, seeing the intangibles and the fundamentals, this is key. This will give us a good idea of who's going to be in the driver's seat, because obviously Marcus Freeman's not going to pick the quarterback in the spring,
right? But
we'll get a chance to see who, like I said, who is in the driver's seat for this quarterback position. And my early prediction, unless there's a setback, I've got to stick with CJ Carr.
Yeah.
What about
you? I agree. I think, and it goes back to he's Freeman's guy. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Freeman recruited him. Freeman got him. He plucked him out of Detroit, away from Michigan. Like all of that, all signs point to that's who it is. But you got to love a grinder in Angeli. You got to love the guy that, goes to work, doesn't complain, gets his shit done. So we'll see. We will see. And I'll be happy for either of them. I don't, it's one of those where I think both of them could take us to the national championship if we play our cards right. But we'll see. I just don't know.
Well, it certainly wouldn't shock me if Angeli wins the battle. Not at all. And like you said, I'll be happy for him either way, whoever. So as long as they're doing what's asked of them and playing up to their potential, exactly. I'm happy for whoever wins this battle.
Yeah.
So with that said, Ben, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I got nothing.
Well, one thing I can say is happy, what is this? The start of our sixth football season.
Yep.
So happy anniversary. The Two
Yep.
Irish Brothers is underway for 2025, and we look forward to seeing more of you guys going forward, giving you guys some awesome content. So on that note, everyone, I am Sean Moerity.
I'm Benjamin Walters.
And as we always say to end every video, good night, God bless, and go Irish.
Go Irish.